Come closer. Sit with us beneath the vaulted stone, where the oil lamps flicker and the centuries grow thin. Welcome to the ancient order. Tonight, we open 3 ancient texts, as different as the languages of the world. Listen, brethren, to the fallen ones that once walked the earth. So the great dragon, that ancient serpent, who is called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world, was cast down to the earth. He was cast down to the earth, and his angels were cast down with him. Revelation 12, verse 9. The Septuagint. Gigantes. And it came to pass when men began to be numerous upon the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God, having seen the daughters of men that they were beautiful, took to themselves wives of all whom they chose. And the Lord God said, My spirit shall certainly not remain among these men forever, because they are flesh, but their days shall be 120 years. Now the giants were upon the earth in those days, and after that, when the sons of God were wont to go into the daughters of men, they bore children to them. Those were the giants of old, the men of renown. Gigantes translates specifically to earthborn. In the Septuagint, the ancient Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible, the Greek word gigantes was used to translate the Hebrew word Nephilim, often understood as fallen ones, and Jibrim, mighty men. The translators used this Hellenized word to convey that these offspring were larger than life, powerful, and violent, carrying connotations of Greco-Roman mythological figures. The 1560 Geneva Bible. Giants. The 1560 Geneva Bible translates the Hebrew word Nephilim in Genesis 6 verse 4 as giants. However, the literal Hebrew translation of the root word naphal is the fallen ones. The Geneva Bible notably includes a footnote identifying them as tyrants or individuals who usurped authority. The marginal notes further clarify that these figures were men which usurped authority over others, and did degenerate from that simplicity, wherein their fathers lived. Footnotes are merely opinions, and to illustrate this, the 2010 New Oxford Annotated Bible takes the opposite stance. It contains a footnote saying that the Nephilim were the result of divine human reproduction. This reflects the traditional early Jewish and Christian view that the sons of God, Ben Elohim, refer to heavenly angelic beings who intermarried with human women, producing offspring that included the Nephilim. In Genesis 6 verse 4, the text of the 1560 Geneva Bible also mentions Hag-Jibrim, which translates to the mighty men or warriors of renown. The 1917 JPS Hebrew Bible. Nephilim is kept, with explicative gloss mighty men. Transliterates the Hebrew word rather than translating it, leaving the precise meaning ambiguous. When men began to multiply on the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were beautiful, and they took them for wives. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. These were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. Gay years. Nephilim or Nephilim. This is the closest gay years transliteration of the Hebrew Nephilim. The text uses the masculine singular form Nephil and the accusative plural Nephilim or Kaalan. In the Ethiopian Tewahedo tradition, these beings are typically understood as the fallen ones or giants. In Amharic commentary, they are often referred to as Nephilim or translated conceptually as those who came down from heaven. Unlike Western Christian canons, the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church includes both 1 Enoch and Jubilees as canonical scriptures. These books provide the foundational details for their theology regarding the Nephilim, and they provide the foundational commentary for understanding the Nephilim as the offspring of the Watchers, the angels, and human women. Jubilee 7:21. And for 3 things came the water of the flood upon the earth, because of the fornication which the Watchers committed, not according to the law of their order, with the daughters of men. For they brought forth the head of uncleanness by that which they mated and by that which they caused to live. Jubilee 7:22. And they begat 3 kinds of children, giants, Nephilim. And they were all unlike one another, and they devoured one another. The Kyle, Catel, mighty one, the slayer, killed the Nephil, giant, and the Nephil killed the Elio, and the Elio killed mankind. People killed one another and mankind sinned. This specific verse is highly famous among scholars of apocalyptic literature because the original Gaia's manuscripts preserve a unique taxonomy of the giants. Rather than being just one group, the Book of Jubilees describes a descending order of predatory classes born from the Watchers, which caused total chaos on earth before the flood. The three terms are interpreted as three sequential generations or archetypes of moral degeneration, tracking a precise descending domino effect of targeted slaughter and structural collapse. The Kyle, the aggressive warrior, slayer class. These represent the original ringleaders of pride and tyranny who initiated physical warfare on Earth. As the first individual actor in the violence chain, the Kyle, kills the Nephil. The Nephil, the primary fallen giants. These are the largest offspring who fell completely from grace, Nephil sharing a linguistic root with, to fall, and lived purely by fleshly desire. They, in turn, kill the Elio. The Elio, the secondary, distinct class of savage beast giants or monsters. Scholars often connect this word to the Aramaic fragments of the Book of Giants found at Qumran, the Dead Sea Scrolls. These are the beings who reach total animalistic savagery, and they ultimately kill mankind. Mankind. The human population. This final onslaught drove human beings into systemic sin, as they were pulled into this demonic system of violence, bloodshed, and lawlessness. The final phrase indicates that humans were not merely passive victims. Because the giants ate their crops and livestock, humans eventually learned cannibalism, murder, and the forbidden consumption of raw blood from them. This universal contamination is why the text states and mankind sinned, implying that humanity was eventually pulled into this demonic system of violence, bloodshed, and lawlessness, completely neutralizing human morality and sealing the legal necessity for the cleansing waters of the flood. Jubilees 7:23. And after this they began to devour the flesh of one another, and they drank the blood of all flesh. And because of this, sin multiplied greatly upon the earth, and every imagination and every desire of the thoughts of mankind meditated on this sort of thing all the days. The final phrase of verse 23 is the exact Gaia's equivalent to the famous Hebrew passage in Genesis 6 verse 5. That every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. The Book of Jubilees uniquely explains why human thoughts became so permanently corrupted. Humanity was entirely traumatized and contaminated by the cannibalistic lifestyle of the giant hierarchy. Trapped under their tyranny, humans adopted their demonic customs, eventually practicing cannibalism and drinking raw animal and human blood, completely mimicking the giants and sealing the legal necessity for the cleansing waters of the flood. The passage explicitly states three things brought the flood, and the narrative groups and expands them across verses 21 to 23 like a legal checklist. 1. Fornication and uncleanness. Verse 21 immediately details the initial catalyst, fornication, zemat. This is the crossing of boundaries by the Watchers who went after human women against the law of their order. This illicit union directly spawned the head of uncleanness, recused, on the earth. 2. Injustice and tyranny. Verse 22 targets the systemic injustice born from the giant offspring. Because they were physically and morally warped, they turned on each other and mankind in a cannibalistic chain of violence. This introduced unmatched tyranny and lawlessness, filling the earth with chaos. 3. Total moral corruption. Verse 23 seals the three things by documenting the complete moral corruption of the human survivors. Humans did not remain innocent bystanders. They eventually adopted the dark habits of the giant hierarchy, consuming raw lifeblood, committing violence against animals, and dedicating every imagination of their hearts to evil. Thus, the Gaia's version is not a loose paraphrase, it is a faithful transmission of the ancient tradition, each word chosen to convey theological nuance that has shaped Ethiopian exegesis for centuries. In Ethiopian liturgical life, Genesis 6, verse 4 is often read during Lenten services when the church reflects on the corruption that led to the flood. The Nephilim symbolize the breakdown of the created order, the fallen ones who, by pairing with human women, introduce a corrupt lineage that compels divine judgment. The Nephilim symbolize the breakdown of the created order, the fallen ones who, by pairing with human women, introduce a corrupt lineage that compels divine judgment. The commentary explains that the fallen label does not merely denote physical downfall but a spiritual descent. The angels, or sons of God, abandoned their heavenly station, and the resulting offspring embodied a blend of celestial and terrestrial natures, a motif that resonates with Ethiopian concepts of faithful hope and the very need for a new covenant through Christ. When you read the Ethiopian rendering, you are hearing a voice that has echoed through monastic walls, synagogues, and the highlands for over a millennium. The Nephilim walked the earth, famed for their strength. The heavenly sons took women among men, and children were born of that union. This succinct English version captures the essence of the Gayes passage while preserving its poetic cadence. It reminds us that the Nephilim are more than mythic giants, they are a theological warning about boundary crossing between the divine and the mortal, a theme that still speaks powerfully to anyone who has ever wondered how fall and redemption intersect in the grand story of Scripture. In the Gayes Bible, there is a thematic parallel. Genesis 6, verse 4 speaks directly of the Nephilim, labeling them the fallen ones. The passage translates to, "The Nephilim rose on the earth, and in those days they were famed as mighty. The sons of God took the daughters of men, and children were born." This rendering preserves the biblical idea of a hybrid, mighty race that precipitated the flood, while the Ethiopian commentary emphasizes their spiritual fallen state. Feel free to quote the English version in any study, sermon, or personal reflection, knowing that it carries the weight of an ancient African tradition that has kept this enigmatic story alive for generations. Targum Onkelos, 5th century, translates the term as Jibra, mighty ones. Roshi, 11th century, notes, Nephilim, those who have fallen from the heavenly realm, they are the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men. Thus the Gayes tradition preserves the fallen nuance, while the Geneva and Septuagint render the word with the descriptive epithet giants. The 1917 JPS maintains the Hebrew term, but adds a gloss, mighty men of old, that mirrors the ancient Jewish interpretive line. The Gayes manuscript opens. The fallen ones fell from heaven. The brass latch is lifted. The hinges give a low, steady creak. From inside, we remove the old sheepskin pages of the Septuagint. The leather is thick and worn. Giants upon the earth. Then we lift the Genevan vellum, its ink dark as basalt. And there were giants in the earth in those days. Finally, the Hebrew scroll rustles. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, men of renown. Together the three voices become a single chorus, fallen, giant, mighty. Each a facet of the same ancient terror. The Nephilim fell and were great. And so we lowly scribes of stone. Remember the fall, lest we too become giants of pride, doomed to the sea. In Ethiopian theology, the Nephilim are more than a pre-deluge myth. They are a type, a warning, of what happens when the boundary between the divine and the mortal is crossed. Pride. Ambition. The desire to be as God. The Jibrim, the mighty ones, became the Nephilim, the fallen ones. And we brethren, we who sit here tonight by firelight, we are the children of that same question. Where does the holy end, and the mortal begin? Hebrew, Gayes, Greek, the echo of ancient languages, scattering in the breeze like leaves from the tree of knowledge. In this breath, the Nephilim live on, not as mere giants of flesh, but as the timeless symbol of what happens when the heavenly falls to earth. May the stones of this mountain keep the story safe, and may our hearts never fall. We have opened the texts. We have heard the voices. The Hebrew, Nephilim. The fallen. The Greek, Gigantes. The giants. The Gayes. Those who fell from heaven. 3 languages. 3 centuries. 1 story. And in all of them, the same warning, the same wound. To fall is human. But to fall from heaven, that is a tragedy written in the bones of the world. We have followed the order of the fathers, through the eyes of the keepers of the mountains. Join us next time, as we unroll the next scroll. Peace be with you.